Everyone has a dream, everyone. The person sleeping on a park bench has a dream. The student who dropped out has a dream. The person who has been saying one day for 15 years, they have a dream too. Dreams are free. Dreams cost nothing. Dreams require no courage, no sacrifice, no discipline, no sweat. You can dream lying down. You can dream while you are watching television, while you are scrolling your phone, while you are doing absolutely nothing with the one life you were given. And that is exactly why dreams alone are worth nothing, not a single thing. Because the gap between where you are and where you dream of being is not filled with wishes. It is not filled with vision boards and affirmations and late-night conversations about what you are going to do someday. It is filled with one thing and one thing only. Discipline. Denzel Washington, the man who has won 2 Academy Awards, who has been called the greatest actor of his generation, who has built a career spanning 4 decades at the absolute pinnacle of his craft, has looked at audiences around the world and said something that most people applaud and almost nobody actually applies. He said dreams without goals are just dreams, and ultimately they fuel disappointment. On the road to achieving your dreams, you must apply discipline. Today we are going to understand what that actually means. Not as a quote, as a life. It is 1975, Mount Vernon, New York. A 20-year-old young man is about to flunk out of Fordham University. He is not stupid. He is not incapable. He is charming, magnetic, funny, the kind of person people are drawn to without quite being able to explain why. He has something. Everyone around him can feel it. But he has no direction for it. No discipline around it. No daily structure that takes the raw material of his gifts and shapes them into something that can be built upon. He has dreams, big ones. He just does not yet know what they are. He goes home during a break. His mother, a woman who runs a beauty salon who raised him with fierce love and equally fierce expectations, looks at her son and says something that cuts straight through every excuse he has been carrying. She says, God has a plan for your life, but you have to show up for it. Show up for it. Not dream about it. Not talk about it. Not wait for the perfect moment when everything aligns and the path becomes clear and the fear goes away. Show up. Every day. Before you feel ready. Before the outcome is guaranteed. Before anyone else believes in what you are building. Denzel Washington goes back to Fordham, and something shifts, not in his circumstances, not in his talent, not in the opportunities available to him. Something shifts in his relationship with discipline, with the daily, unglamorous, repetitive work of becoming someone who deserves the thing he wants. He joins the drama program. He throws himself into it with a totality that surprises even himself. He reads everything. He shows up early and stays late, and treats every small performance as if it were the one that would determine the entire direction of his life. Because he had finally understood something that most talented people never understand, until it is too late. Talent is the invitation. Discipline is the RSVP. And if you do not show up, if you do not do the daily, difficult, disciplined work of honoring what you were given, the invitation gets rescinded. And it goes to someone else who was willing to do what you were not. Let us talk about the version of this story that the highlight reel leaves out, because there is always a version that the highlight reel leaves out. Before the Academy Awards, before the iconic roles, before the name Denzel Washington became synonymous with excellence and craft and a standard of performance that other actors measure themselves against, there were years of nothing. Years of auditions that led nowhere. Years of small roles that paid almost nothing and built almost no momentum. Years of watching less talented people get opportunities that he did not get, because they knew the right people or had the right connections, or simply happened to be in the right room at the right time. And here is the struggle that lives underneath all of that. The struggle of being talented enough to know what you are capable of, but not yet disciplined enough to have built the body of work that proves it to anyone else. That gap is one of the most painful places a human being can live. You know what you have, you can feel it. You can see clearly the person you are capable of becoming, but the world has not seen it yet. And every day that passes without the breakthrough, every audition that ends in silence, every door that stays closed, every person who looks through you instead of at you, every one of those days plants a quiet, creeping question in the back of your mind. What if I am wrong about myself? What if the thing I believe I have is not real? What if the dream is just a story I have been telling myself to avoid facing the truth that I am ordinary? Denzel Washington has spoken about this period with honesty that costs something to share. The uncertainty, the financial struggle, the moments of genuine doubt where discipline felt pointless because the results were not arriving. And here is what he did in those moments. He showed up anyway, not because he was certain it would work, because he had made a commitment to the work that was independent of the outcome. He separated the discipline from the result. He decided, I am going to do this work at the highest level I am capable of today, regardless of whether today produces anything visible, regardless of whether anyone is watching, regardless of whether the reward is coming. Because the discipline is not a transaction. It is not. I will work hard and in return success will arrive on a specific date. The discipline is an identity. It is, this is who I am, this is what I do every day, without negotiation. And that identity, built slowly, quietly, invisibly in the years before anyone knew his name, is the foundation on which everything else was eventually built. There is a speech Denzel Washington gave to a graduating class, and in it he said something that is so simple it sounds almost too obvious to be profound, until you really hear it. He said, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it, you will lose, you will embarrass yourself, you will suck at something. There is no doubt about it. Now that is not a motivational statement in the traditional sense. That is not the kind of thing that makes a crowd leap to its feet. But wait. Because here is what he said next. He said, never be discouraged, never hold back. Give everything you have. And when you fall throughout life, and I hope you do fall forward. Fall forward. 2 words. Not fall down, not fall apart, not fall and stay there. Fall forward. Because even in failure, even in the moments where the discipline does not immediately produce the result, where the work does not immediately open the door, you are still moving. You are still building. You are still one step closer to something than you were before you tried. And the turning point in Denzel Washington's story, the moment that changes the trajectory, is not the first big role. It is not the first award. It is not the moment the world finally catches up to what he already knew about himself. The turning point is the moment he falls forward for the first time. The moment he takes a failure, a closed door, a missed opportunity, a performance that did not land. And instead of retreating, instead of revising his dream downward, instead of making peace with less than what he was built for, he uses it. He falls forward into the next audition, into the next performance, into the next disciplined day of becoming someone slightly more prepared, slightly more skilled, slightly more ready than the day before. That is the turning point, not an event, a direction falling forward. Always forward. Lesson 1. Without discipline, your dream is just a beautiful lie. You tell yourself, let us be honest about something uncomfortable. Most people use their dreams as a substitute for action, rather than a motivation for it. They talk about the business they are going to start, the book they are going to write, the body they are going to build, the life they are going to create. And the dream, vivid, detailed, emotionally satisfying, gives them enough of a feeling of progress that they never have to actually do the terrifying, disciplined daily work of making it real. The dream becomes the destination, not the direction. Denzel Washington said, without commitment, you will never start. Without consistency, you will never finish. Think about those 2 sentences together. Without commitment, you will never start. That is the dream problem. Most people never actually commit to the thing they say they want. They are interested in it. They are inspired by it. They are emotionally invested in the idea of it, but they have never made the commitment. Never said, this is happening. I am doing this. Every day, starting today. Not when I feel ready. Not when the circumstances are perfect today, and without consistency, you will never finish. That is the discipline problem. Even the people who do start, who make the commitment, who take the first brave step, most of them cannot sustain the discipline through the long middle where nothing is glamorous and nothing is guaranteed and the results are invisible and the doubts are loud. The dream means nothing without the commitment. The commitment means nothing without the consistency. And consistency, daily, repeated, unglamorous consistency, is the only name discipline goes by in the real world. Lesson 2. Fall forward. Because failure is direction, not destination. Every significant achievement in Denzel Washington's career contains a failure. You never heard about every single one. The roles he did not get that forced him to develop skills he did not know he needed. The performances that fell short that showed him exactly where his craft required more work. The professional relationships that did not develop the way he expected that redirected him towards something better. He did not succeed in spite of these failures. He succeeded because of what he did with them. He fell forward into every single one. And here is why that matters for you. You are going to fail. You are going to try something and it is not going to work. You are going to put your name on something and it is going to fall short of what you imagined. You are going to take a risk and the risk is not going to pay off the way you hoped. That moment, that inevitable, unavoidable moment of failure, is not the test of your talent. It is the test of your discipline. Because discipline is not just what you do on the good days. It is what you do the morning after the failure. It is whether you get up and fall forward or whether you sit in the wreckage and let the dream quietly die. The disciplined person uses failure as data, as information, as a precise map of exactly where the work needs to go next. The undisciplined person uses failure as evidence that they were right to be afraid, as permission to stop, as confirmation that the dream was not theirs to have. Which person are you going to be? Not in theory, in practice. Tomorrow morning, fall forward. Lesson 3. Ease is a greater threat to your dreams than hardship. This is the lesson that Denzel Washington has returned to in speech after speech, in interview after interview, in every platform where he has been given the chance to tell the truth. He said, "Do not aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference." And embedded in that sentence is a warning about the most dangerous enemy of disciplined dreaming, not failure, not hardship, not the people who said, "You could not do it." Comfort. Comfort is the dream killer that never announces itself. It does not show up as opposition. It does not show up as an obstacle you have to fight through. It shows up as a reason to wait. A reason to be grateful for what you have instead of hungry for what you are capable of. A reason to make peace with the distance between where you are and where you know you were built to be. Denzel Washington made an early decision, before the success, before the recognition, before the world agreed with his assessment of himself, that he was going to aspire to something greater than ease. That he was going to do the disciplined, difficult daily work of making a difference rather than merely making a living. And that decision, that specific, costly, daily renewed decision, is the entire distance between a dream and a legacy. Are you making a living or are you building a legacy? Because you cannot do both from the same posture. I want you to think about the dream you have been carrying, not the safe version, not the edited version that you share with people because it is specific enough to be credible but vague enough that you will not be too embarrassed if it never happens. The real one, the one you think about at 3 a.m., the one that makes your chest tight when you imagine it fully, the one you have been protecting from the world and from yourself, because wanting it completely and not getting it would be the kind of loss you do not know if you could survive. I want you to think about the discipline that dream requires, not the exciting part, not the launch day and the applause and the moment it all comes together, the Tuesday morning part, the 5 a.m. part, the doing the work when nobody is watching and nothing is happening, and the gap between where you are and where you are trying to go feels impossibly, humiliatingly wide. Denzel Washington became one of the greatest artists of his generation, not because he was the most talented person in every room he ever walked into. He became who he became because he was the most disciplined. Because when the dream whispered and the discipline was hard and the results were invisible and the doubt was loud, he showed up anyway. Day after day, year after year. In the years before anyone knew his name. In the years when the only person who had to believe in the work was him. And here's what I need you to feel right now. That same discipline is available to you not someday. Not after you feel more ready or more certain or more prepared. Right now, in whatever season of life you are in. With whatever dream you are carrying. With whatever gap exists between who you are today and who you are trying to become. The discipline is available. The only question is whether you are willing to pick it up every day. Not on the days when motivation is high and the path is clear and the belief is strong. every day, including the ones that look exactly like today. Denzel Washington's mother told him, God has a plan for your life, but you have to show up for it, show up for it. Every single day, show up for it. So here's where we land, not with a dream, with a discipline. I am going to ask you to do one thing differently starting today. Not a complete life overhaul, not a reinvention, not a dramatic declaration that lasts 3 days and fades into the same patterns that were always there. One thing. Identify the most important daily action that your dream requires. Not the exciting action, not the launch, not the debut, not the big swing. The daily action. The one that has to happen every single day, quietly, consistently, without applause, in order for the dream to have any chance of becoming real, and do it today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when you have more time or more money or more courage or more certainty. Today. Because Denzel Washington did not become Denzel Washington on the day of the Academy Award. He became Denzel Washington on 1,000 ordinary days when nobody was watching, and the work was hard, and the results were invisible, and he showed up anyway. You do not need to be Denzel Washington, but you need to be someone who shows up like him. Someone whose relationship with discipline is not dependent on motivation or mood or outcome. Someone who has decided, quietly, completely, non-negotiably, that the dream is worth the daily cost of the work it requires. Fall forward when you fail. Show up when it is hard. Do the work before the reward. And trust, with the same deep, disciplined daily trust that built one of the greatest careers in the history of American film, that the harvest always comes to the person who tends the field. Always. Dreams mean nothing without discipline, but dreams with discipline, those change everything. Those change you. Those change the people around you and the generations that come after you and the world that inherits what you decided to build. If this video moved something in you, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Drop a comment telling me the one discipline you are committing to starting right now. Subscribe to Motivation Arc because every week we bring you the truth told through the stories of people who lived it completely. Denzel Washington said it. Now it is your turn to live it. Show up for your plan. Every single day. We will see you in the next one.